All right, we got the live indicator now on StreamYard. Let's try to kick things off on Instagram. Folks, I can't tell you how excited I am for today's chat with none other than journalist Autumn. She, during the pre-chat, got me really ramped up just due to the tyranny she's faced. It's like she got smacked upside the head with the reality of the world we live in, saw the corruption, started exposing that, fighting against that, ended up in prison, ended up like with all these crazy charges, and then her social medias are under attack like a normal citizen like you and I. I mean, in fact, our journalists, the ones actually fulfilling what that's supposed to mean, not hired, manipulated propagandist pushers, like there's protections in place. Like it, just even to think of Julian Assange, unbelievable. And then the outcome of that and the lack of public outcry and seeking proper justice, it really does just break my heart. But let's be excited to seize the opportunities and moments we have this very day. So without further ado, let's kick this off. Welcome to a Muzzled Chat. Autumn, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. Holy smokes. Everything you've gone through, you've done a lot. And you know what I like? If in fact we look at the title of this very episode, when I viewed the episode you did, we'll do a plug to John and Scott with the Forgotten Soldiers, yet again doing amazing things. You recently joined them, and through your interview with them, as you're talking, it just hit me so profoundly that here is proof of a woman, like proving her patriotism for this country. You clearly have a big heart. You care a lot for your future, your family's future, and even strangers' futures around you. And my goodness, you can actually see whatever you want to call it, the cabal. You know, there's clearly a group, an organization. I call it the synagogue of Satan. It's biblical to me. It's spiritual warfare. It's all playing out here in the flesh. But they essentially, it's just this two-tiered infrastructure system we're up against now. And it's a great threat to us all. So I just want to applaud individuals like you that have the courage to continually and at great cost to yourself, and at there's no money, there's no accolades. You're just doing it because it's solely the right thing to do, trying your best to secure the future for all those you love. And I commend you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I just want to say I'm recovering from oral surgery, so my words slur a little bit. But yeah, I'm not under the influence, but thanks for having me. Yeah, you basically said it. I did it because it's the right thing to do. And it's really, I can't believe that other people, it's such a small select few people that are willing to do that. And it just seems like we were always taught to do the right thing, and not many people are willing to step up to the plate, I guess.
Why do you suppose that is? It seems as though the Matrix documentary is just running so true. I mean, it plays into the scenario too smoothly not to use it. There's other films and things, but it's just people are more content, it seems, right here, right now, getting absorbed into the blue pill and the modern conveniences, right? And the false sense of securities, the bread and the circus, and the luxuries this existence has to offer, this society, let's say even this two-tiered infrastructure is allowing, right? But we can see with the pandemic, we can see with so many events that have happened, I mean, assassination attempts, all these things to inhibit real freedom, thriving. So it's just like, my gosh, get God gave us all our free agency. I get that. And at the end of the day, ultimately, you should have the opportunity to choose. But dang it, to not even acknowledge the red pill, to not even acknowledge what's outside of your bubble, what is taking place, and as though you can have absolutely no impact is utterly ludicrous. It's insanity in my eyes, because that choice leads to nowhere good. So I even challenge kind of the perspective of, hey, if you actually love people in your life, quit projecting your love for them and show up as a actual doer, like protecting them more effectively by addressing these greater threats, right? Like I couldn't imagine any father figure, a wild beast, you go on a trip, wants to attack your loved one or your child. You are gonna do everything you can to protect that little everything. But once it becomes a government entity, once it becomes a corporation, once it becomes a pharmaceutical, you're not even willing to put in the time or acknowledge that threat for what it actually is. Like, I don't get that. I don't get that disconnect. So it does seem like the World Economic Forum's been effective with all their bold statements of, well, nothing to be happy, that they have the technology to control the masses, that humans are now hackable animals. It does seem as though a lot of us have become entirely hacked, where we're more so controlled and we've lost our free agency. But I digress. Let's dive into your story. What helped open up your eyes? What set you on the path to kind of acknowledge the corruption and more so be willing to do actual journalism, all that leads you all the way even to prison? You can start where you feel impressed.
I actually think I have a little bit of a timeline here to help guide me, because I'm getting to the age where I don't remember 5 years ago. Sometimes feels like 1990 to me, and 5 years ago sometimes feels like.
Are you kidding me? I get it. I got a notepad right here.
Yeah.
I can't get organized enough.
So basically, in let's see, I started getting involved in, I guess you would say it was about 2010. There was a oil spill that happened in my town. The Kalamazoo River was, there was Enbridge oil spill. It happened around the same time the Gulf, the BP oil spill, if you remember that, in the Gulf happened. And then like that summer, Enbridge spilled millions of gallons. Of course, they covered it up, how many. And I got very involved, and I uncovered the illegal liability waivers that Enbridge was tricking residents into signing to sign away their rights in exchange for like $200 and an air purifier, and them saying you can never sue us. And I was like, no, this is wrong. I met on numerous occasions with the CEO of Enbridge, Pat Daniel. I exposed it. It ended up going to Washington, D.C. before congressional hearings. And they were found that, yes, the liability waivers were illegal, and Enbridge was told to stop circulating those. So I started bringing that up to my local public officials, my local city council, city commission, county commission. And that's when I started attending commission meetings, on a monthly basis. I would attend every single one. I sometimes had a better attendance record than the commissioners themselves.
Oh my gosh. Good on you. We all need to get more involved with that. Good on you.
And so in spring 2013, there was a commissioner on the commission that was trying to bring attention to nefarious activities and corruption going on within the police department. he had some whistleblowers coming forward to him in the police department and in City Hall and various city departments, but mostly the police department, and nobody was doing anything about it. He would speak about it at the commission meeting and beg for help and beg for investigations and beg for things to be done, and just he was being stonewalled and snowballed. And I kind of thought of two things. Either he's got a personal vendetta or agenda and he's trying to do something to start stuff, or there's something really going on here and they're in cover-up mode. So it's like, let's shoot the messenger rather than deal with the message.
Wow.
And I approached him as a journalist, citizen journalist. I had started writing for some small podcasts that I had been featured on, and I used to co-host a podcast, and we'd also do like news articles along with that. And then I had also gotten in touch with via social media and email and stuff like that with Naomi Wolf, and I had written for her. And so I approached this commissioner and I was like, hey, I'm willing to listen to what you have to say, and if there's something there, I'll go forward. But if I find out you're lying to me or anything, that's it. I'm walking away. I'm not doing personal vendettas. I want to do real things and get to the meat and potatoes of it, basically.
I like it.
And fix things. So throughout 2013 and 2014, I exposed a bunch of police corruption in my local police department and City Hall. And as a result, multiple high-ranking city and police officials resigned, retired, or got fired or sought employment elsewhere. And I can name a few of them. It was a police chief, the deputy chief, city attorney, city manager, assistant city manager, internal affairs inspector, employee relations director. And then there was even some, we believe, residual fallout in community government organizations outside that people resigned, retired, and, so it was a big.
What a great example is to the citizenry we could, like, the impact we could have, especially through some unification. I mean, I don't want to derail, but was a lot of this corruption, I can only assume, did it have to do with money?
Not
or a different type of scandal?
It was a lot of little things that snowballed that weren't getting addressed. There was there was things like death threats being made within the police department.
Oh, wow.
There was there was a situation where anytime there's a call with a person with a weapon, you send multiple officers there, especially domestic violence. It's automatic protocol because you don't know what you're walking into there. Right. So what they would do is when this whistleblowing officer would get a call for a person with a man with a gun, they would dispatch multiple units, but the other units that were supposed to go would leave him, essentially setting him up to get injured or killed in the line of duty because he was whistleblowing. There was hidden cameras that were put in the female locker room. While they were being videotaped undressing, and they were saying that it was to do an investigation because there was theft within the police department. But even the police have to follow the law and protocol when they're doing their own investigations. You can't have cameras in bathrooms and locker rooms and stuff. There was affairs within the police department that was creating hostile work environments. There was racism in the police department, excessive force, policy violation. I mean, you name it, and it probably was going on. I mean, there was.
I believe you. I mean, and this is what's so crazy. Like, I personally view our police force as kind of the backbone to our civilizations operating as they are. It's a crucial, fundamental part to everything. So it's like I am pro-police 110%. But any organization in this life, as we can see, is easily corruptible. So there's a lot of individuals that end up in these positions that their heart's in the right place, and some might.
A couple of the big stories that got me kicked off was there were multiple drunk driving events that happened like back to back to back involving officers.
Oh,
and
wow.
you and me, we get, and I'm talking like crashing their car at 100 miles an hour
Oh, wow.
and stuff like that, being well over the legal limit. You and me, that happens to us, we're going to jail. The cops, they got escorted a private ride home, never faced charges.
Wow. That's unacceptable. Yeah.
And it was covered up. It's the blue wall of silence. There was like
the good old boys protecting themselves, rules for thee. Yeah.
Yes. There was a police chief who had a sex offender brother, and he was non-compliant, and it was hands off because that's the chief's brother. And so he got special treatment, and I exposed that he was non-compliant, and they were covered. So, I mean, it was, like I said, pretty much anything. There is nothing that you could tell me that I wouldn't believe. Now, I wouldn't go to press with it unless I had receipts to back it up through FOIA documents and stuff. But if you came to me and basically said, hey, the cops are down this street and they're running, drugs, I believe it. But, I believing something and then having tangible, solid evidence to back it up. That's why another thing is they had to go after me criminally because they could not go after me civilly because their fingerprints were on everything that I was exposing. Wow. Everything that I got came from City Hall or the department itself and had city officials and police officials' names on it. So they had to turn the tables on me and go after me criminally to try to shut me up and shut me down. And what happened is one of the things that I exposed was when my friends and I that were involved, we kind of call it the fall of City Hall. When the dominoes started falling and the house of cards started to collapse, the police chief took early retirement. I think he was like 47 years old and retired, which is like, you're in your prime as a police chief there. You've got at least a good 10, 15 years left, Yeah. And he retired, took early retirement. But the gentleman that they promoted that was on deck that they made interim police chief, he was a bad cop, very corrupt. He had previously left the police department, and in his exit interview, he exposed a lot of the corruption and substantiated many of the things that myself and the whistleblowers and city commissioner was exposing.
Right.
The job that he left for, I believe, was absorbed by a government sequester a few months after he left, like 6 or 8 months. So he was left without a job. So he ran back to the police department and basically with his tail between his legs, knowing that he crossed that blue wall of silence and exposed the corruption, he basically got his job back. And then he became the voice of the department's not corrupt and started writing op-eds to the paper to try to counter what I was doing. He was not qualified to be police chief. He was a street cop, was a detective, had no supervisory experience, was never a lieutenant, was never a sergeant, nothing. And then he, boom, just became police chief.
That makes me wonder if, in fact, on the lower local levels, if, in fact, it is even going to lead to more so the solutions and results we want. If more corrupt, worse individuals, if you will, less qualified personnel end up in those positions, then it's like, it becomes kind of disheartening. Is that the way we go about it and work up the chain? Right. I mean, I am a big believer.
The chain of command is the problem and broken.
Yes.
You have to start fresh. And that's what we were hoping to do by exposing this is when we knocked out all of those city officials and police people, we thought, finally, we've got a clean slate. But that's not what happened. They promoted their cronies. They brought in more yes men. They brought in more, I'm just here to do my job. They had ample opportunity to start fresh and build up and learn. And I'll be honest with you, Frank Serpico, who, like I said, he's the one that mentored me, the New York City police detective that was shot for exposing police corruption.
Unbelievable.
in the 70s, he was the mentor and mentored me and spent hours and hours and hours with me on the phone, going over this stuff, telling me where to look, encouraging me, and letting me know. But like, I remember something he told me. He said, Autumn, he said, basically, there's like 3 levels of police officer. There's some that are absolutely corrupt. There's nothing you can do. They just need to go. They're criminals. They just need to go. There's some that are corrupt to a degree, but can be reformed with, proper training and maybe some discipline and stuff like that. And then
bring some morals and values into the equation. Yep. Yes.
And then he said,
on the straight and narrow.
There's some that are pretty much corrupt a little bit, but wish they were honest and stuff like that. He said they envy that they can't be honest because the system
itself does
not want them, pushes back. But he said, there's a lot of things that he taught me that were just, yes, 100% true. But what happened when I got arrested was I was trying to expose that guy that they were trying to make police chief. I was trying to get his exit interview through FOIA because, like I said, he exposed a lot of the corruption. I was just saying, you're the one, we're not lying. You exposed it in your exit interview, released the exit interview. He didn't want to. And we got into a heated discussion prior to a city council meeting. And during that discussion, he laid his hands on me and he didn't have the right to. And I reported it to the on-duty officer. And he told me he didn't have the right to touch you. You weren't being arrested. You weren't being detained. And he said that's assault. And I said, well, who do you report assault to when the chief of police is the one assaulting you? And he told me, and I said, well, I know you guys are in bed with this arm of the MSP. I know you're in bed with the county. And he goes, well, just bring it up the chain of command. And I had to report it to the Lansing State Police in Michigan. And the guy was really cool. He was nice. And he never filed a formal complaint because I decided to not go forward. I said, I just want an apology. I really don't want to, I just want an apology, but I'm not going to file a formal police report. And he's like, that's cool. I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. Good luck. I wish you luck on your investigation. And then all of a sudden, they charged me with filing a false police report, even though there was never a police report filed.
How does that happen?
They said the 911 call that I made, which I was instructed to make by the officer that was on duty. They said I made a false 911 call. Yeah. I was then, it took them 2 years to bring me up on to go for a jury trial. It was a misdemeanor. I was found guilty, but I found out they rigged my jury with a jail guard. And after my trial, I rode the elevator down with my entire jury and their heads were down. They could not look at me in the face. And I knew something was up, and I looked at them. I remember looking at them and I said, while I staunchly disagree with the verdict that you came to, I respect you doing your civic duty and serving as a juror. And the elevator doors open, ding, they come out. They all turned and pointed to the foreman, which was the jail guard that rigged my jury. And they said, he made us find you guilty. He said we had to find you guilty.
What?
We did not believe you were guilty. He said we had to. And it was discovered in my trial that the police chief's internal inspector, the police chief and the internal inspector were best friends and lived next door. He destroyed 7.5 minutes of video evidence that would have shown the police chief putting his hands on me when he shouldn't have. He destroyed 7.5 minutes of video evidence. Boom.
That in and of itself is criminal.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't destroy evidence like that. No. Wow.
And so I was sentenced to, here's the kicker. Here's how I got my second charge. I've never been in trouble with the law. This was my first time. I was just flabbergasted because, like you said, I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to be protected. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was doing what the officer said to make a 911 call. I never made a false police report, but yet I was charged with it.
Wow.
So the judge sentenced me to community service, and I asked him, what could I do for community service? And he says, well, I'm pretty flexible. As long as what you do is good for the community, I'll allow it. I said, well, my attending commission meetings and reporting on the city and police department was good. Can I continue to do that? And he said, yes. So I was court ordered back to commission meetings to do exactly what they tried to prosecute, what they prosecuted me for. And I think it was the second, I went back to the commission meeting that night because the night of my sentencing was a commission meeting, and I sat front row and center. And at the second, I had already been investigating and working on my next couple stories. The brand new city manager that they hired as a result of the one that went down because of me, she had a bunch of bankruptcies, and I'm like, we need to look into someone better if they're going to be the CEO of the city. And I was investigating that. I was investigating a shady trip that my mayor and assistant city manager took to China, and a bunch of smoky front groups there. So at the second commission meeting that I went to do my court-ordered community service, I was making sure that I was going on the record to introduce myself so I would get credit for, sitting at the meeting for an hour, 2 hours, however long the meeting was. And I introduced myself, and I said I was there to do my court-ordered community service because the police chief assaulted me, which is true. They did, and the mayor called me out of order, and I sat down. Then the second public comment came up, and I introduced myself. I said, I'm sorry, Mayor. Apparently you didn't like the way I introduced myself again the first time, so allow me to clarify. My name is Autumn Smith. I'm here in part to do my court-ordered community service because Inspector Wise destroyed video evidence that would have shown the police officer assaulting me. Called me out of order, told me to leave. He had 4 officers at the commission meeting, including a female officer, which when you've been going to commission meetings for years like I do, you know what's normal protocol and what's not.
Right.
And they don't normally have 4 officers. They have 1 officer, and 9 times out of 10, he's falling asleep in the back.
They were waiting for you.
Yes. And with the female being there.
Yep.
That was because, and I left the chambers. I turned around because I saw a public official, a judge, sitting in the back row, and I needed to get my community service sheet signed.
Yes.
And I just quietly stooped down and said, can you please sign my community service sheet so I get credit for the 90 minutes I was here? He's like, no, I can't. The mayor made a hand gesture to the 4 officers. They surrounded me, yelled, leave, leave, leave now. And I said, okay, I will. And I gathered my stuff. And the one female officer grabbed me and put her hand on me. And I vividly remember during my first trial when the police chief put his hand on me, the only people they had testify against me were all city officials and police officers. So go figure, do that. They didn't have anybody from the citizenry, no, just everyday people that were there. They had all city officials, people that I had written articles about testify against me. And I vividly remember the city attorney telling me, testifying in my trial, Autumn is well known at City Hall. If somebody put their hand on her, all she would have to do is scream and yell out, and anybody would come and help her. I remembered that. So when this officer put her hand on me, I said, take your hand off of me. You have no right to touch me. Leave me alone. Yoink, her hand went off of me and behind her back. I left. I filed a motion, I believe it was, with the court that I was no longer going to do my community service at City Hall and that I would do it in another venue. And they said, okay, fine.
Wow.
Well, I was in the process of suing a municipality for a FOIA violation. And I had submitted some court documents to the court, and I was waiting to hear back from the court. And every time I was also investigating my first trial because it was rigged, and I believe it was a shadow trial, kangaroo court. My verdict form is literally nothing more than a Microsoft Office document. No court case number, no name, no defendant, no plaintiff, no nothing. Just a court, it says, we the jury find Autumn, guilty, hash mark, not guilty, hash mark, and a check mark. No signature, no seal, no judge's signature, no order of conviction, nothing. So I was investigating my trial. So I had been going back up to the courthouse. And when I went up to the courthouse to check on my FOIA lawsuit, they had called me on the phone. And they said, your documents are ready. And I knew that that was weird because courts don't do business over the phone. They do business through mail and they do business in person. And I was with a city commissioner because I was trying to let him know every time I go to the courthouse, they give me trouble. There's always sheriffs surrounding me with their hands on their guns. They're intimidating me. And he's like, well, next time you have to go up to the courthouse, let me know. I want to go up there and witness this firsthand. It's not that I don't believe you, but I want to see it. So right then he was there when they called and told me to go up there. And I said, this is a setup. I knew it. And he said, well, I'll take you up there and we'll go. Cause I told you, I wanted to go see what they do if they mess with you at the courthouse. I went up there. They jumped me at the door and arrested me for disturbing the peace at that second commission meeting that I was called out of. Now this was 100 days later.
Was there a warning to leave premises? Like, hey, there's gotta be, what, you can't, what?
They kicked me. The meeting was in May. Yeah. They kicked me out of the meeting and I left. And I didn't come back to the meetings. I did not set foot in City Hall May, June, July, August. August, I was doing business at the court, and that's when I went to. So they trapped me by calling me on the phone and telling me to come get my documents.
Did they order a trespass? Because with a trespass, they're supposed to be. I mean, that's public ground, right? And
well, that's where I'd have to go to do business with City Hall, pay water bills and stuff like that. So it would be really, really hard to do that. But they didn't order anything. Nothing.
Interesting. So, as I'm hearing your story, Autumn, it's like I want to obviously motivate the masses, right? I want to motivate us all, and who in their right mind, like when you're not seeing outside the bread and the circus and the real tyranny, the warfare, in fact, that is taking place before us. They're like, well, why would I push the envelope in these regards? Like, this is probably more so becoming disheartening versus like encouraging. But when we tie in the bigger picture and the actual war tactics and the depth of the corruption, that should bring light into people to being like, yeah, this is unacceptable, right? Because it's only going to continue to deteriorate from there, and hopefully light some type of spark within individuals, because it makes me question even lesser action. Let's say speaking out on truth on their social media platforms. Have we literally been coddled? Are we just these precious adults, like these baby-esque kind of creature as adults, where we won't even challenge narratives on our social medias because have we become so weakened that we won't be willing to stand up for truth to any level of flack, any level of pressure, right? Because even social media, and now we see a lot of people, pushing the envelope, but frankly, not enough of us are. That's why the tyranny still continues on social media platforms and in all of these arenas, so to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, like you said at the beginning, is I want to empower people, but it does sound disheartening. Like, people are like, because most people, if they listen to me, they're like, you aren't doing anything wrong.
Right.
We live in such an inverted world right now, clown world, where you do things right and lawful and peaceful, and they're going to set you up somehow. They're going to turn the table.
I wonder. So what is the disconnect? What is keeping people weak in that sense to not want to fight against and rule out this type of tyranny, to ensure law and order, to ensure that it's not a two-tiered infrastructure, that it's rules for thee and not for me, right? And I think this is just the tip of the corruption, because you follow it up the chain, and that's what's allowing it down on this more personable level. But all the way up the chain and through the other tentacles of the war tactics, this is greatly threatening to all of our lives. And so for me, the only things I've personally really been able to hone in on that I believe is leading to this weakness, that isn't allowing us to even acknowledge like the tyranny and what you're dealing with, is the poisoning of the food, the water, our air, the frequency warfare, the also bio warfare, how they're working up things in labs. I have Lyme disease, and that's a bioweapon created from the Cold War. Obviously, they've ramped up their bio warfare, is, even through COVID and whatnot. So I believe that, there's just all these layers that have been added on, and they're nothing shy of war tactics that has literally dumbed us down, has limited our resilience, because it's kind of like that point we were just communicating before this episode, and I hadn't quite worded it that way before. It just kind of came out of my mouth, where it's like, for the first time, it seems in history, even regarding information, but it ties directly into this very situation and the tyranny you experienced. Like, we as civilians in this world, in our full sense of freedom, have a choice between tyrannical platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, and then free speech platforms such as Rumble, True Social, X to an extent, Telegram, and yet the masses are choosing the shackles and the tyranny and the censorship of TikTok and all these controlled platforms versus the liberating free speech platforms. And you're not free if you don't have free speech. You're not actually absorbing truth on the level you should be absorbing truth. That's where we end up manipulated to where we more so are in the box, in that matrix, not understanding the real threats at hand. So what would cause one? Go ahead.
You don't want to have people think outside the box. They don't. It's almost like a form of self-censorship. If I stay in my bubble of Facebook, if I stay here, and then I also learned like a phrase a long time ago. We talk about the indoctrination of like education and institutions and things like that. But think of this.
Entertainment.
Yeah. Why are graduation caps square? Because they don't want you to think outside their box. So it's like, it's this really, you're closing yourself off, because these social media, platforms are feeding into the bread and circuses that you thrive on. Yes. It's kind of like, a diabetic needs so much sugar in order for their body to work right. These people need this propaganda, daily injected propaganda. And if they're torn away from it and they try to have a conversation with people that are awake like you and I and, some other people out there, it creates cognitive dissonance that they can't handle. And I think we've all had a segment of cognitive dissonance. You're just like, wow. But if you're able to sit back and sort it out and think through it and stuff, then you're able to manage it. And then you're able to have eyes wide open to other possibilities, other answers, skepticism. And I'll never forget.
Yes.
When I was in my trial, my second trial, I was acquitted, thank God. And they tried to rig my jury with a jail guard on that one too, but we caught them. And they walked by the prosecutor's table, shrugged their shoulders and said, I tried. Yeah, you tried and you got caught. Anyways, I will never forget what my attorney told me. When we were doing jury selection, you have certain people that you want on a jury based on the history of the defendant, who the plaintiff is, the age, the sex, the background, the evidence. There are certain people, it's a science, it really is, you want on the jury, and there's certain people you don't want. And I'll never forget that my attorney, because my attorney was basically the same age as me, and he says, Autumn, he says, you want people on your jury that's like yours and my age. And maybe you want some baby boomers a little bit too. And I was, I think, like, my second trial, I was like 35, 36 years old. And he says the reason why is because they are the most skeptical and questioning of the government. They are not going to believe a police officer just because he comes in there with his badge and his dress blues and all this and his gun and think that he's telling the truth. They're going to be like, yeah, we know that cops lie, and so they are more questioning of the government. And I'll never forget that. I mean, and that I've always been taught is a patriotic thing to do, is you're supposed to question authority. Just because somebody puts on a badge, somebody puts on a lab coat, somebody has a stethoscope around their neck, doesn't automatically mean that they're there to serve the right purpose or that they're there doing the right thing.
I like what you're getting at, because yes, we have been through the information, through all these, all this infrastructure that's been created in our society. We have blindly, and that's why I'm so grateful for the pandemic, even though it has the most horrific outcome, even continual outcome to this day, where for the majority of people, they seem to be healthily questioning things and actually reflecting back. I cannot believe how blindly and trusting I've been in white lab coats, in doctors, in Western medicine, in Hollywood, in our government. And that's why we even see past the bread and circus of red versus blue. It's a freaking joke. It's truly a joke. Like, there needs to be a unification of we the people to such a great extent that we gain the keys to steer this country in the direction we want, because there's other individuals and institutions that literally it's pocket change to own the president of this country now. It's unbelievable.
It's the illusion of choice. It's the illusion of choice. It's red or blue, football or baseball,
right?
And chocolate or vanilla, red or green. We've been programmed. It's a psyop, really. I mean, it really is. This and like you said, I have authority because I have doctor in front of my name or these initials after my name, and any profession can be corrupted. Anything. And that's the thing is, I as a young teenager, I was diagnosed with a psychological disorder, which I'm actually proud of to have now, especially in this day and age. It's called oppositional defiance disorder. And
interesting.
You question authority. You don't have respect for authority. And I respect people, but your authority.
Let me guess. If I was evil, I would have created that diagnosis to create a pharmaceutical that would dumb and numb that individual. Maybe, I don't know about Adderall, but there's certain type of antidepressants.
They already did. It's called Prozac. Prozac is made of fluoride. The main ingredient in Prozac is fluoride. So we are getting a daily dose of fluoride every time you drink your municipal water supply. And actually, we can thank a county, a city not too far away from me, Grand Rapids, Michigan, was the very first city to put fluoride in the municipal water in the United States.
Oh my gosh.
What that oppositional defiance disorder is it's people like you and me that question people or that maybe look at a different, and back when I was younger, it was, because, I was
I'd call
very
that
questioning of,
normal. I'd call that important. I'd call that
yeah.
crucial, especially considering how out of hand things have become, right?
Well, let me tell you
Obviously,
what,
like, I wish it wasn't the way it is, right? I don't want to be. Why would I want to be on the verge of conspiratorial and all these weaponization of labels and names that, frankly, I don't care. People could throw them my way all they want, because it's like words mean something to me. So if you are going to misuse a word, that doesn't work, right?
well, and like this thing with authority, my attorney that I had, that really good attorney, he went on to become a judge. And I was talking to him during his campaign, and because I'll be honest with you, I've been in many judges' courtrooms where I refused to stand.
Oh,
And
wow.
every time I was on the stand in my one trial, I did not call him Your Honor. I did not call him Judge. I called him Mister.
Oh, wow.
I have my little subtle ways of saying F you without saying F you, but I asked my attorney when he became a judge, I said, between the day that you're elected and the day that you're sworn in and you put that black robe on and you take the bench, what the hell changes to make you honorable? He couldn't answer the question.
No.
Think about that. Think about it.
It's actually worth thinking about.
Between the day, so you had some people vote for you. Okay, I've won student elections or club elections. Okay,
Honorable, to where you get announced every time you walk in,
and people have to stand for you.
Ooh, yeah, that's a level of kind of MK Ultra mind warp tactics right there. Wow.
Yeah.
Compliance.
So it's just, and maybe I'm weird for thinking things like that, but I don't know. I mean,
it's a good question. I wonder what he'd say now, but wow. Yeah, I mean, we're just valuable creatures, right? As humans. I'm not here to cast stones at individuals. It's just, at the end of the day, being able to maintain health and free speech to the extent that we can actually hone in on people's fruits, right? What type of fruit are they bearing? And is it deceiving? Is it poisonous, or is it healthy? And I know through that, my gosh, I obviously, as you've proven through your walk, and then that unfortunately like parallels the uphill battle I faced against the legal system, where I was inexcusably attacked, and I have video footage of it, and I didn't even get my day in court. So we got to understand, we can't have a normally functioning society unless we address these issues. And unfortunately, it isn't just on the smaller levels, it goes all the way up the ladder.
Well, and that's the thing is, you have to start somewhere. And like I said, I'm kind of disliked on a local level, on a state level, because I took on the Michigan Speaker of the House years ago. I petitioned to recall him, and there were multiple other recalls going on, including with the then governor. And he's the only one that took me to court. All the other recalls were allowed to proceed, and they were allowed to petition their government for redress, that pesky little First Amendment that our government seems to hate.
Right.
But he dragged me into court for some reason to try to stop me from petitioning for redress. And thankfully, he lost. I represented myself against he hired a former Michigan Assistant Attorney General, the most powerful law firm in the state of Michigan. And I'm 27 years old. I spent my 27th birthday in court fighting against him, arguing 4 constitutional grounds, and I won. So I'm hated on a state level, and I'm hated on an international level with me taking on big oil with Enbridge and getting their little tricky liability waiver shut down. But I see wrong. I see injustice going on. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Libertarian, anything. And wrong is wrong, right is right, and we need to do better.
Right. 100%. Like right here, it yes, they're infringing on our First Amendment on every single social media platform. Trump just stated something very profound on a Dan Bongino interview. I believe that was today, very recent. And he said, quote, "I don't know that a country can come back if it has a fake press, because it's just misleading too many of us. It's dividing too many of us. It's keeping too many of us plugged into the matrix, the bread and the circus and football and men in spandex. It's just unbelievable. Like, yes, I'm going to challenge every man out there. Really? All right, you enjoy watching men in spandex while the war wages on, and it's literally poisoning everyone you love in your life. We need to put that time, energy, and money. Now, the fact of the matter is, the more of us engage, and sooner versus later, we have an opportunity to get it back to a place where football more so could matter again. Right? We could have those luxuries, but it would be insane to be wrapped up in the Coliseum, so to speak, as all this tyranny is raining down upon us. My goodness. Like we had a selection 2020, selection 2022. What do you freaking expect is going to happen in 2024? If we aren't properly ready and willing to unite to whatever means necessary, and I'm saying whatever means necessary, it's situational, and it really depends. And we really should go about it in whatever, obviously, like legal actions and everything we can, but exhaust all our options. But the Constitution itself states that the citizenry of this country has a responsibility, the freaking duty, to abolish a tyrannical or oppressive government. And I could literally pull up just right here. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Just everything free speech, folks. And the ability to redress our grievances, okay? And it's become so tyrannical. They're literally in 38 of the states, they've already passed legislation to where you can't even boycott Israel. They're passing more legislation that will infringe on the Bible itself under the guise of anti-Semitism.
They're arresting people for praying outside of abortion clinics.
Right. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on. You know what? I should even get back into that screen share. That's where we just need to be excited to even get more educated on the actual Constitution and the Bill of Rights. I don't know if I added this link in there or not, but obviously it's very easily found. But also, on the coattails of the pandemic, everyone needs to actually read this Nuremberg Code. Like, don't words mean something to you? Doesn't history mean something to you? Like, why is this just torn up at this point and being drugged through the mud? Okay.
Yeah, I had a great grandmother that lived to be 95 years old, and she had all of her mental capabilities until she died. And she lived through World War. I mean, she wasn't like overseas or anything, but she remembered hearing about, the atrocities and things that were going on with Hitler and Nazi Germany. And, we had many, many conversations about it as I was growing up. And we have that Nuremberg Code there for a reason. That should have never been allowed to happen back in World War II. But the fact that it was allowed to, in my opinion, continue, because I don't know if you're familiar with the Tuskegee syphilis study and other things that the government does.
Yes, the Bill Gates Foundation. Yeah, there's been a lot of things that infringed on the Nuremberg Code throughout history that we're just, once again, evil loves to, under the guise of, protection, this is good and healthy, and like, and the manipulation of information to where people are more so in the dark and not understanding. That's where We have such a amazing opportunity with this ability right here, Autumn, that we can speak freely on Rumble. Like that in and of itself, I just hope somehow attracts people to more so get off those tyrannical, because realize the change you're putting yourself in. You're choosing the box, you're choosing the prison cell, you're choosing the chains. Now, since the masses are over there, we still push the envelope and have a presence trying to get people to free and liberate themselves over here, but we're just not acknowledging it fast enough. And it's once again, it's their choice, but it is unfortunate because as this continues, as the poisoning and all the attacks on our health, we could just go through the whole list. It's insanely long, but there's so many direct attacks that we've definitively honed in on and proved under war tactics. Like, it's literally World War III tactics plaguing the world today. And it's with that and the censorship, we're not, I guess, for lack of better words, waking up fast enough. So it saddens my heart because I know where that path is leading, and it's going to lead to more suffering. And like Dan from the X22 report, he does state, like, everyone's precipice is different, like that tipping point. And what literally is it going to take? It seems that people are so absorbed into the matrix and into this life that I thought with the hyperinflation, right, another form of taxation, a sly way of taxation. In fact, like, just over the last few years, it's like, just through the hyperinflation that's taken place in and of itself, it's now doubled your tax. And people aren't up in arms over that. Like, that's to the selfish self-seekers that are all about it. I don't understand. So
I don't get how everyday people, like people that I know, middle class, working poor, people on a fixed income, like, I'll sit there and say something like, Bidenflation is making it hard to buy groceries, and they'll laugh. And I'm like,
it's so hard to live right now.
$5 for a dozen of eggs? Do you not pay the same prices that I do? Or do you have like a liberal discount card that you get to wing out at the checkout, and you're not facing the same hardships that I am? You'd think we could at least unite and agree on simple things like, damn, we're paying way too much for groceries. Mm-hmm. No, everything is a divide and conquer.
Well, I sure hope it doesn't have to get to a point of no return. It seems like we're on that nice edge, right? And if we just slide off one side, there's really no getting over to the other side. And dang, I'll just do what I can. And that's why I'm so grateful for individuals like you to come forward. And you've been an activist. You've been doing things now for a long time. Shoot, you just kicked off another lawsuit even. And so you're leading by example. It's like you didn't let these hiccups, hurdles that a lot of people, you let this solidify your resolve that, oh my gosh, I'm doubling down now. I'm tripling down and continue on this path. And it's very inspiring in my eyes. And the thing is, we all could lessen your burdens by following suit. In fact, they couldn't even come after us all at that point, and we would actually gain proper momentum that would lead to real life solutions and a shift of this tide. So you kicked off a lawsuit. Tell us a bit about it. It had to do with flag laws?
Yeah. My town a few years ago passed this ordinance where they allowed certain flags to fly on the flagpole at City Hall.
Unbelievable. Pass an ordinance.
Yes. And I spoke about this. I warned about it way ahead of time because it was basically instituted for the LGBTQAA++ mafia. And
Mafia, alphabet mafia.
and yeah, and I basically said, if you allow this, you're going to have to allow any and all flags, no matter what, whether you agree with them, whether they're good, bad, indifferent. You have to. You are creating a slippery slope, and sure enough, they did it. And I asked my commission for 3 flags to fly on 3 separate occasions.
Okay.
I asked for my local Tea Party flag to fly. It's just a red, white, and blue flag, and it says our local Tea Party. You know, it's not political. We're not a political organization. I just asked for it to fly. Nope. So then I came back a month later, and I asked for the Revolutionary War Appeal to Heaven flag to fly. No. Nothing.
Wow.
So then.
So it's selective flag flying that is in fact unconstitutionally flag flying. Yeah, because I also liked your other comment that stated governments taking sides is egregious, that they strictly should only be flying a few flags, you know, whether it be the United States of America, their state flag, maybe some military, things of that nature, but nothing else, right?
Yeah, so I asked them to fly a straight pride flag. I found one on Amazon.
A straight pride flag. Okay.
I found one on Amazon. I email it to them.
What a circus we live in, man. Okay.
And nothing. So
nothing.
I then took it to federal court, and I am currently in the process of suing them for viewpoint discrimination, because you're right.
This should be a clear-cut case. This should be a clear-cut case.
We should have.
You're going against an uphill battle.
Well, they're saying that they're not taking sides. That the way the ordinance is written, they wrote the ordinance where they're saying that the flagpole is not allowed to be a beacon of free speech, but they will only fly flags that express the city's sentiments. Governments can't have sentiments because governments can't think. Okay, so it's. I mean, hello. When I asked the city what their sentiments were, they couldn't tell me.
Wow.
So I filed it in Western District Federal Court. I'm awaiting a few. I've had a couple of responses back and forth. I'm waiting to see what happens. And I agree. The only flags that should be flying are the American flag, the state flag, if you have a local city flag, and maybe a POW or military flag, because those are all flags we could all unite under.
Yes.
You know, when you start picking sides and saying, we're going to fly this flag, we're going to fly this flag, but, you know, and then you have stuff that happens to me. And they even said, I talked to one commissioner when I asked him, why can't we fly the Appeal to Heaven flag? I gave a lengthy description at the commission meeting when I asked to have that flag fly about the history of the Revolutionary War, about where that flag's origin comes from. One commissioner said he brought it up to the commission and they said it was too radical.
Oh my gosh. I say the LBG, the alphabet mafia, that's too radical. I mean, they preyed on so many good people's hearts under a live and let live, and it very, very quickly became a live and let us rule. And they crossed so many red lines that has been so destructive. It's been utterly insane.
I used to be, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was an activist in the LGB. Then it started getting T, and I kind of got out of it then.
My heart goes out to the individuals. Don't get me wrong, but the reality of it is the poisoning of the human body that these globalists are effectively doing, that are behind even this movement, because it's not an organic movement. There are billions of dollars behind this, coming from Soros and so many of these evil individuals from the synagogue of Satan, that if you think about it, they've literally been poisoning like the childhood vaccination schedule and so many other means. Like, is it that far out to actually believe that they're messing up our genetic makeup so egregiously, like men's testosterone's taking, for example, estrogen's getting pumped into our bodies through food supplies and things of that nature. So wouldn't it be so far out to say that with just slight grooming and more porn, more lustful desires, getting more caught up in the matrix, it's naturally automatically gonna produce more confusion, more people more focused on, I'm sorry it's a little graphic to state, but they're more focused on an orgasm than what naturally should be integrated to even achieve that, right? It doesn't matter now.
They've cheapened and taken away the nuclear family.
Yes.
We've evolved into and I blame some of it on some extreme feminism.
Yes.
I mean, I believe there's different waves of feminism, things that are good. I think women should have the right to vote. I think, women should have equal pay. I think, things like that we can pretty much agree on. But then there's the women don't need men. You can be a single mom. Then that makes them dependent on the state. And then you're having the state help raise your kid. Then you have the hookup culture where nobody wants to go on a date and get to know people. It's,
they've muddied normal and abnormal to where it's just all blurred. But there's normal and abnormal between the two sexes. And it is clear that man has certain attributes, right? And women have certain attributes. And like, men can't, like, the miracle of women is that's to be protected. That's what's beautiful, right? Like, men can't procreate. I mean, they take place in procreation.
Well, ask Tim Waltz where men can put tampons at.
Oh boy, no, get out of here. Did he actually dive into that?
They call him Tampon Tim because he believes in putting tampons in the boys' bathroom.
Yeah, the world we live in. I swear, the world we live in. But it's just sad because so many people, especially our young ones, are falling under the satanic like movement essentially and not given the fair shake of a normal upbringing and getting that chance because like there's nothing stronger. I'm sorry, you can't put a man and a man together and they become a more powerful couple than a man and a woman. I mean, maybe in sporting events, so singular little things, yeah, sure. But overall big picture in this life, no. In fact, you put a man and a man on an island, single generation, then it's over, right? You put a woman on that island, single generation, it's over. But you put a man and a woman, there could be generational thriving. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's beautiful. That's worth fighting. So I love standing up on hard truth and pushing back against destructive think. And it makes me wonder, okay, what is ramping this up? And we've identified grooming, we've identified vaccine schedules, so much of the food, things of that nature. I mean, my goodness, it's no secret. Some doctors actually have given some of their patients during the pandemic heavy doses of ivermectin, and it was a flamboyant man in a marriage, and lo and behold, by the end of an anti-parasitical, guess what? He started becoming he became more normalized again. So who's to say that by eradicating some of these poisons or parasiticals and heavy metals and things of that nature, we more so fall into our normal state of being? So my heart goes out to so much of this and people falling prey to all these tactics, just like other tactics, right? Like people being manipulated into believing this shot was safe and effective, right? I'm not here to cast stones at that individual, but I'm here to speak out on the reality of the facts of the matter, and this situation isn't good. So,
well, I can't blame the people so much.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was a military psyop that our government did against us through the propaganda, through the news, the media, Hollywood, the doctors on TV, the advertising, your own doctor at your doctor's office, the mask, the 6 foot apart, the
Yes.
plexiglass, and
It's
and
so crazy.
yeah, it was a big military grade psyop, and
Yes.
those of us that could fight through it and have been trying to warn people. I mean, I still see people with masks,
If
people
I know,
with
yes.
masks, and they're in a group of people, and there's like one of them wearing a mask and the rest of them aren't, and they aren't asking questions. Or there's one dude in a car driving and he's got a mask on. The guy riding a bike outside, he's got a mask on, and I'm just sitting there going, and you try to talk to these people like, I don't want to. Yes, I'll be honest, I've called names before, not to their face, but I call them mask cards and face diapers and stuff, but like, I just sit there and I want to pull them aside and I want to say, do you understand, that the virus is smaller than the holes in the mask? It's like throwing sand through a chain link fence. It's not doing anything.
Yep.
And you're actually causing more harm because you're not able to breathe fresh air.
Yep.
And, and I just, that's kind of like when I went through the pandemic, I saw weird things like that. I mean, there were times I wore a mask at first, and then I got real suspicious because people would, you go up to your doctor's office and they demand you wear a mask, but the minute you get up to the window, everybody's mask would go, "Can I help you?"
Yeah.
And then like this, I think I showed this mask in the last podcast.
Yeah, it's like a glamored, but you could breathe freely. Good on you. It's like a mesh.
Yeah,
good on you.
If they're going to play games, and I firmly believe these were virtue signaling of who they can control.
Yeah.
This was a who the sheeple are and who aren't the sheeple. And so if I was going to, it was just,
yeah.
So
control tactics.
Yeah, I did not get the shot. I didn't. My doctor told me not to, and then a year later, I was bounced out of his practice for being non-compliant.
So we all need to challenge ourselves with those individuals that are still walking around with those masks. Like, challenge ourselves, like to go up and just be like, look, I clearly can tell you have a heart and you care about your health and your loved one's health and things of that nature. Like, what I won't tolerate, a lot of individuals, adults now, I just kind of let them go because, I kind of want to preserve my energies for ears that are willing to hear. Right. And those individuals are more likely gone. But when they have a child and they have a mask on their child today, I find it my duty to go up to them and basically compliment the parent to the child and being like, look, clearly you have a big heart, clearly. And then I'll just challenge them in one aspect, just like, look, if you went down to the college or the high school, right, where they even got basic microscopes, it would be ideal if you had a freaking scientist next to you that could identify what you see, but you put your child's mask under that microscope, I guarantee you. And so forget all the noise out there. This is just something you could do for yourself. I guarantee what you would find on that mask, you would never mask your child again. Okay. So with that, just to say, there's a level of tyranny and wrongful information that's very destructive that wants to see us ill. And they were the ones that more so manipulated this information. So if you'd like more information, let me turn you on to, this podcast on Rumble or this source of information or this source of information. Love you. Have a nice day. So we got to get better at having, but that's more even the extreme levels, right? There's a lot of people in the know now that are actively sitting on the couch, so to speak, not taking action like you, right? In a lawsuit regarding flags, noticing the level of tyranny, and we need to engage on all these fronts. And the two main ones I feel are the most damning is we must obtain our free speech and we must push back against the actual, because why has health, anything regarding our health, and it could be the COVID, it could be the poisonous food, the fluoride in the water, the chemtrails, the frequency warfare. It could be weather manipulation, also geoengineering. And there's nothing conspiratorial about it, folks. We brought the receipts. We're going to continue bringing the receipts. It would be ludicrous to take that talking point from the talking heads that said it was safe and effective. Come on now. Rational thinking. Let's stay with us. And how all these are war tactics, because the only way we're going to start gaining our resilience to really fighting back is upping our health and having the opportunity of free speech to assemble, right, and face this war being waged on us. And frankly, if we don't, well, you're taking us down with you. That sucks, because we know a little bit. Like, it's not even know a little better. It's just we've done our research. We can see worse things are getting fired up. Worse things are going to come down the pipe. And I want to avoid that. I don't want to see more suffering. I want to see less suffering. So I really pray people seize this opportunity. You talked on your mom during the height of COVID on that last episode, and that really spoke to me, because holy smoke. So she got hospitalized during COVID. I'm not necessarily sure as to why, but I remember you speaking out of writing out that you explicitly, like you wrote it out. Is it documented? Do you have proof? Do you have evidence?
Where I have a picture.
You have a picture where specifically you did not want any COVID vaccine administered to your mother. And what did that hospital staff do?
Gave her a shot. And she wasn't lucid as far as I could tell. She was very, very ill, under the influence of other medications. So I had written on the board, no COVID vaccine per the Pfizer documents. And then unfortunately, I left the hospital. I had to go do some stuff. I came back up and I talked to my mom, and she's like, yeah, they gave it to me, blah, blah, blah. And I was even talking to nurses there. And they were like, they only made us get one shot. I said, really? She's like, yeah, they only made us get one shot. But they're pushing it. I've had other people talk to me. I have people I know that work at Pfizer.
So did they get your mother's consent then at some point? Or
I have no idea, because here's the thing. What I write on the board and discuss with my mom.
Yes.
My mom is an adult. She has her own guardianship of herself.
Right.
So I don't know what happened after I left that room. And if she's sick and they're scaring her, you need this COVID. I don't know. You need this vaccine. You're already in the hospital sick. This, we don't want you to get sicker. I don't know what happened, but.
Well, how's her health now? Have you noticed this shift at all, or is she doing okay?
No. She's got she's in denial with it, and it's basically turned my whole family against me. I haven't talked to a lot of my family in a long time. She has early onset dementia, and things like that. And my whole family thinks that, she was living with me, and just a lot of stuff popped off after that, and our family is totally broken apart. I basically don't.
Oh, that breaks my heart that the system's become so effective to indoctrinate individuals to not even see, to where even when a family member more so breaks out, they red pill, they're outside of the matrix, and they're like, oh my gosh. But it's a different infrastructure than the film itself, and you can see the continually poisoning of that infrastructure, and you're just trying to break them out of that, but you become, because they've weaponized words in such a way that you're a conspiracy theorist, you're nuts, you're racist, you're a loon, or misinformationist. It's just like, we got the evidence, we got the proof, like the intentions are pure. Like, we should be able to, it actually goes to show how, once again, the World Economic Forum has become effective in controlling the masses. They say they have the technology to control the masses. Well, that's proof. That's proof because you're a loved one, you're a family member, and you just want to point out the war crimes essentially. That's infringement. No, even if she had a moment where they coerced her, which it shouldn't have been. Like there shouldn't be coercion right here. There should
against the law.
It goes against the law, it goes against the Nuremberg, and that in this regard, it's crimes against humanity because that was under emergency use. There was no FDA approved actual substance going into your mother or anybody's arm. So it just and then right here. So even if they got that with the coercion, with the deceit, with the fraud, with the force, or with the giving consent, because there wasn't proper consent given to anybody. Not one person that got that shot had proper consent.
Well, I learned a long, long time ago because like we talked about, I'm not a lawyer, I can tell you that right now, but I have successfully self-represented in court numerous times. And one of the things that I've learned is when I sign my name on any document, under my name, I write all rights reserved. If I'm forced to sign something against my will and they're backing me into a corner, I write all rights reserved under duress. And that helps protect me. And that's kind of like me waving a red flag. If something were to come up and happen at a later date and they pull that file out, boom, it goes on them. You're not going to force it.
That's a great, man, to put in any hospital documentation. Like clearly, God forbid, I don't want anything to do with those institutions, but obviously there's procedures and things they have, in fact, gotten good at, let's say a broken leg, things of that nature, where you need to go in and get some care. But to fill those out with that is great advice. That's a great tool everyone should absorb.
Well, and never also
reserved.
Yeah, when you go into like the ER or even a regular doctor's visit, they always usually have you sign an electronic thing.
Yeah.
And it'll say, this is consent to treat and permission to bill your insurance. To hell it is.
There's a lot of jargon in there.
You need to ask for the printout of what it is. And it's usually two-sided, sheet of paper, 3 font, little words.
Who would want to entirely give up their rights? You know what I'm saying? And then if you're signing, they're exempting everything at that point. Whatever they do on that signature, they literally, I don't even know, like they literally could malpractice or something, and good luck, because what you signed. Wow.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't ever give my rights up for anything or anyone. And my whole thing is, I just try to play on equal footing. Even something as simple as like if you go to a doctor's office, a lot of them have like a late policy or a no-show policy or something, or like, if you're not here 15 minutes before your appointment, we reserve the right to cancel your appointment. If you show up 10 minutes after your appointment, we can charge you $50 late fee or no-show fee. Well, how many times have you been to the doctor? You're there on time. You're stuck sitting in the waiting room. You're stuck sitting in the exam room. The doctor's 45 minutes late. You've got to get to work. You've got kids to pick up. You've got things. If their time is valuable, so is yours. There's been many times where I flipped the script on them. They want to do this to me? Okay. You were an hour and a half late behind my appointment. You did not offer to reschedule. You did not anything. Therefore, I charge X number per hour for my time. You owe me $50.
Good. Right.
They don't like that, and good luck getting them to pay, but it's a right. It's just, you got to stick up for yourself.
That
And
is something
I don't
crazy.
believe in playing by rules that I wouldn't abide by myself.
That's wild. Good on you. I freaking love the way you think. That's so powerful. Yes. Otherwise it's like, why are we even booking this appointment? And now an hour and a half later, it's
Oh,
just
and
like,
that's like my doctor, when he tried to give me the COVID jab, I looked at him, I'm like, would you get it? And he's like, no. And I said, then why the hell are you offering it to me?
right. Wow. Yeah, that is so bad. We all must take action on that immediately. Simply reach out to your state officials and demand that get pulled off of the shelves. In fact, serve them in that email with a screenshot of the Nuremberg Code stating, consider yourself served. I believe this to be a bioweapon. If in fact you continue to allow this on the shelves another day, every day that goes by, we could actually start compiling deaths and adverse reactions, in my eyes, intended consequences, because it's effectively a bioweapon. There will be blood on your hands, and we will seek inevitably full extreme accountability.
Well,
And
I've done that.
that's amazing.
I've helped author a letter last year. I helped with a couple other groups organize a protest outside of Pfizer.
We need to get organized. We need to create a web page.
Well, here's the thing. I organized a protest. I authored a letter to Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer, and I also authored it to the entire Michigan legislature, demanding that the COVID shots be pulled, demanding that remdesivir be discontinued, and all of this. Nothing. We had
not enough of us are doing it, and we need a screenshot. We need to record, unfortunately, everything we're doing, because they're not taking us serious in whatever means necessary. So if we start doing it in the thousands, then tens of thousands, and they still don't respond, then it's beyond even a petition. It's probably more so a protest. I mean, I literally view us going in there and removing them from their chairs and electing someone on the spot that's gonna do the bidding of we the people.
But like I said, let's go back. I tried to do that with the Speaker of the House, and I was met with lawfare. I was prevented from petitioning my government from redress to remove him from his chair, to put someone in there that was going to uphold and protect and defend the Constitution and their oath of office. That's where I'm like at grasping straws, because I'm not. I've done everything that I can think of in my power, but I'm still not stopping. I mean, at least
we just need more organization, more unification, and bigger numbers. We will see results. I just know that.
My whole thing is I believe it's better to try and fail than to not try at all, than to sit silent on the sidelines.
You know what? On that point, going into this election, there are so many people I know, like actual patriots, awake and everything, and they understand it's rigged. They understand they're going to deploy so many tactics that infringe upon so much law that they are not going to participate. They're like, I'm not going to participate in this illegal selection. And I'm like, gosh dang it, to at least do what you can to give us the evidence we need of them stealing it in and of itself. Like, we need to essentially make this too big to rig. But even if we don't make it too big to rig, but enough of us show up, then we could gather enough of the evidence to awaken the sleeping giant of we the people to just be like, enough. But if not enough of us give us that information we need, then what then? You just handed over the freaking keys entirely.
Well, I think back to what our founding fathers say, and a republic, if you can keep it.
If you can keep it. That's so beautiful. Yeah, we haven't had that for a while. A constitutional.
And what are people doing that are sitting on the sidelines not participating? Are they trying to keep the republic? Like I said, I can respect trying and failing rather than saying, I'm out. I'm not playing. I get it. It's a game. It's rigged. They're going to do what they want. But until we can, like you said, do something about it and I like I said, I don't believe in violence. I believe in legal, lawful, peaceful means to
well, the violence is happening.
Well, literally, and we're getting blamed for it. People are getting blamed.
Well, that's where, even back to Trump's statement of, I don't know that a country can come back if it has a fake press. That's where, like, that is what's violent. That's what's damaging. And a unification to take down those type of institutions, right? And proper momentum. I mean, dude, all of that needs to be on the table. Like, yeah. Sorry, I had more thoughts to follow up with that. I mean, so where all, like, have you built out any type of web pages? Or are you on social medias? Where can folks find you?
I am on social media when I'm not in jail, when I'm not getting banned, when I'm not in, and right now I'm in Facebook
jail.
Through the election, I can't even post, what's going on. I do have a Twitter handle. This is like, I went through a few Twitter accounts, too. Yes. My Twitter handle is @corrupt19890058, and then my name on there is autumn_corrupt84. Okay. That's primarily where I'm at. I don't deal with trolls too well, so if you're coming to troll me, just don't waste your time. I just really feel that, you got to put some effort forward. We all have to be foot soldiers.
Yes.
And try to be, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yes. I like that. So you'll have to, after this, we wrap up here shortly, Autumn, send me whatever links you would like added in the comments. I'm going to plug that in there so people can follow and support, the lawsuit or anything you're involved in. It's just crucial we get a little more organized. Now, offhand, do you have any kind of calls to action, or do you see kind of a clear path in any means that would lead more so to solutions?
Turn off the TV.
Good. I like that. Yes.
I have TVs and I barely turn them on. I don't even know why. Or if I do turn them on, I'm usually turning into Rumble and watching podcasts and stuff.
Yes.
Get to know your neighbors. Network with people. Be kind. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of hate in the world.
Yes.
And be open-minded and willing to listen to another perspective. And just do what you can to get involved. Go to a meeting. It might be boring, but you might learn something too. I just can't emphasize that enough. If you don't take it doesn't matter if you don't take an interest in government. Government takes an interest in you.
That was all great calls to action. I mean, it's actually kind of cool that we've been coddled into mindless entertainment versus intentional, purposeful, meaningful living. And when you start kind of challenging yourself from this favorite show that they're creating so much manipulation tactic. You could see it. Any of the trending ones, Survivor, and we're like more so isolating ourselves, and they're creating these shows to bring sense of community and engagement. But even in doing so, they're bringing charismatic characters to normalize a certain type of destructive ideology. It's psychological warfare, and it's also controlling information through the projection of entertainment. So once you start actually tapping into more so, and this is what's beautiful, you actually can find truth tellers, whether it's UNMUZZLED, whether it's Forgotten Soldiers, whether it's Stu Peters, or just lots of patriots out there doing this now. You'll actually get a level of entertainment through them, but it won't be mindless, just wasting your life, wasting your time. You'll be absorbing real information. Russell Brand's a gift, man. He's very entertaining, yet touching on these topics. So you just don't know how it's going to land for you. But the majority of my days consist of absorbing as much as I can and being selective. And I've been very faithful to a whole slew of them as I've even been, committing time here. So for people to just make the excuse like they don't have the bandwidth or time, it's like, you make it, like we all could do better, and we all should be excited to do better. So I hope for, I don't know, some way, shape, or another with what you shared today. My gosh, Autumn, the challenges you've been faced with, like you haven't been, how much money have you made during this adventure? It's not about money, is it?
Zero.
It isn't about money.
It's cost me my freedom, my reputation, and tens of thousands of dollars in attorney fees, and it's cost me relationships with people.
Someone in the Matrix might call someone like that insane to even do so. Why would you do that? Like, I'm doing all these other things and I'm doing great. Well, the very things you like doing are under threat. So you are sacrificing because you see that picture, you see the war tactics effectively for what they are. And it's crucial that we all properly acknowledge the reality of the world we live in right now so we could properly address it to secure the things we enjoy and love, and those included.
Yeah,
Yes.
People ask me why I do it, and they say, stop, can't you put your energy somewhere else? And I think there's just certain things that people are meant to do, and telling me to stop, it's like telling George Washington to get off the dollar bill. It ain't gonna happen.
I like that. Autumn, you are a true patriot. You are a true warrior. It's been a blessing to have you here today. We just scratched the surface. I want you to know personally, if you come across information, whether it be lawsuit related or, wow, we need to sound the alarm on this, or just a personal experience, I welcome you back here anytime. And we could dive into more depth on so many topics. What we're essentially trying to accomplish here is bringing people's health up to more so have an opportunity to become the best version of themselves. That encompasses a lot. And in order to become the best version of themselves, we obviously got to now hone in on securing a better future for us all. That encompasses a lot. So we are just unmuzzled on it all, and we're just trying to really hone in on effective ways to see results. It's what it boils down to. So we'd love to have you anytime. Any other burning desires here in closing?
No, just I appreciate your time. I appreciate the conversation. It's nice to talk to another person that's awake and gets it. And yeah, just stay safe, stay true, keep up the fight.
Heck yes. We love you, listeners. Let's go. Reach out to your state officials. Click down below in the description and browse our affiliations. It goes to show they're in it for the right reasons to even associate with a platform such as this. So Patriot Mobile, EMP Shield, Bond Charge, Unchained Wellness, American Reserves, Pure Benefits, Aesthetics and Wellness, Off-Grid Gear to Go, and Black Eagle Apparel. Check them all out, folks. Now I'm going to leave you with the Jesus is Calling, and we'll read this, then we'll wrap up the episode. But thank you. We couldn't do this without you, and we have been having growth. Frankly, we need more growth. We are fighting every single algorithm there is. And I'm continually getting censored on all these platforms. And it's regarding your health when we have the evidence to back it up. So that should raise the alarm and kind of the sense of urgency to get these messages out. So become an Unmuzzled Chat warrior. Click the like, click the share, get this out there. So today's read, October 18th, states, go gently through this day, keeping your eye on me. I will open up the way for you as you take steps of trust along your path. Sometimes the way before you appears to be blocked. If you focus on the obstacle or search for a way around it, you will probably go off course. Instead, focus on me, the shepherd who is leading you along your life journey. Before you know it, the obstacle will be behind you, and you will hardly know how you passed through it. That is the secret of success in my kingdom. Although you remain aware of the visible world around you, your primary awareness of me, when the road before you looks rocky, you can trust me to get through that rough patch. My presence enables you to face each day with confidence. There's 2 biblical scriptures here. I challenge you to look them up. We got John 10:14 through 15 and Isaiah 26:7. I am so excited to show up each and every day. I sure hope you all are too. You got gifts, very unique ones. And I look forward to seeing those shine to the benefit of everyone around you. So let's seize these opportunities, these special moments right here. Today we have, with that, may our loving Creator, God, bless your life and bless this country. We sure need it. Until next time, take care.